Thank you for joining me today. My name is Nikiforos Karamanis, and I'm a senior user experience designer at ABI. Today, I'll give you an overview of the training on user experience design that we've been doing in our organization. I'll start by giving a quick overview of ECCB, and then I'll talk a bit more about the training on user experience, or UX, as we abbreviate it, that we've been giving there. I'll present some feedback, the feedback we got from our participants and our leadership. And then I'll share with you some available resources in case you also want to do something similar in your own institution. And I'll finish by thanking the people who have helped me in this effort. So I work for the European Bioinformatics Institute, which is also known as ECCB. We are south of Cambridge in the United Kingdom. And we're part of EMBL, the European Molecular Biology Laboratory. We're one of the 6 sites that EMBL has across Europe. EMBL is an international organization. It consists mostly of member states from Europe, but we also have 2 associates members outside Europe, Australia and Argentina. ECCB is the home for big data in biology. We collect data in various areas of life sciences. We standardize and organize them into databases, and then we make them available to the scientific community through our services. And in this slide, you can see an overview of the wide variety of services that we have in different areas of biology. There are about 10 user experience designers at the EBI, and some of them work on specific projects. So, for example, the COVID-19 portal, which is our response to the global pandemic, has a user experience designer working full-time on it. But most of our services, or more than 100, they don't have a dedicated person. So myself and a few other colleagues from the web development team are meant to support these services that they don't have an embedded UX designer. However, because of the volume of these services, as I said, there are more than 100, there's more demand than what we can actually offer ourselves. And this is a broader problem. So, for example, Zimski and al. Surveyed 13 life sciences organizations at the end of 2019, and they also reported that demand for UX has increased in recent years. So, to address the problem in our organization, we decided to introduce training on UX design, and the objective was to introduce our colleagues from the services that they don't have a UX designer to the fundamentals of UX design, to help them apply some popular UX methods with our guidance during the training, and encourage them to keep practicing UX design after the training. So UX design fundamentally consists of these 3 steps: doing user research, through interviews and observations to understand users' needs, and then designing solutions or coming up with solutions, different ways to address these needs that were identified during our user research, and then asking for feedback, so showing the design or the prototype that we came up with to address the need, and getting feedback from the users, and iteratively improving our design through more research, design activities, and feedback. So our training has been delivered mainly as a one-day hands-on in-person workshop, which is mostly what I'm going to talk today. Since it's a pandemic, I'm also doing webinars on these topics. It has been attended by bioinformaticians, developers, curators, trainers, data scientists, and even project leads. And we spend the day together practicing the basic methods for user research. So I introduce them to ways in which they can interview and observe their users. I give them a design challenge, and they sketch ways to address it. And also we practice the main ways of asking users for feedback. And many of the participants went on to practice these activities more extensively after the training. And I followed up, or me and my colleagues followed up and helped them. So, for example, here on the top photograph, you can see that a curator for one of our services interviewed some of the target users, and together with her team, she's putting together the insights from the user research as wall post-its on the wall. Another team, they go together, the developers, curators, trainers, data scientists, and the project lead, and explore ways to present annotations of protein structures in a design workshop. So we helped one of them attended the workshop with our training session, and then he prepared this workshop for his team with our advice. And other teams went on and showed the services to users and got feedback from them. At the end of the training, I asked the participants to rate it in a scale from what ranges from 1, which is poor, and 5, which is excellent. And they also give us some qualitative feedback. So this is the summary of the overall rating. You can see that 56 out of 59 respondents, so this is upon 95%, rated our training with 4 or 5, which is excellent. And they also gave qualitative feedback, which in some ways even more insightful. So the first person wrote, "Excellent, thank you so much. I really enjoyed it. It has given me a whole new motivation to get exchange by doing it in the right way." Another quote was, "Thank you so again for an excellent course on Friday. I realized that it has changed my thinking for some things and is already being put into practice." Another person said, "Great session. I want to emphasize the great balance that was given between practical and theory sessions, which again is something we wanted to achieve." And there was a recommendation for other members and staff to attend this workshop. So all this basically kind of confirms our impression that the training has been quite successful. Not only people put it in practice, but they actually gave feedback that indicates that it was quite useful. We also had positive responses from our leadership. So the team leaders in our institute have been responding positively to the provision of this training and have been encouraging their staff to attend. One of our 2 directors, Ewan Birney in particular, who has been a champion of UX since the beginning, has been quite encouraging. So when we started this effort, Ewan gave an interview about the history of UX at DBI, which includes this quote, "UX works and is worth it." Also, after the training took place and people were starting doing user research, I wrote this tweet with a small summary of what's going on. So we have 35 scientists from academia and industry interviewed by 17 developers, data scientists, and curators from 11 different teams. And Ewan responded with a comment on the top, basically sharing his encouragement on the work that we have done. So UX design training at DBI allowed our colleagues to learn the basic principles of UX design, apply these principles to their services, and form a UX community of practice. And we hope that presenting in ISMB today will encourage other bioinformatics organizations which need to scale their UX capacity to follow our example. To get you started with that, I've written an art to help you with this effort. I've written an article on LinkedIn where I give a bit more detail about the UX training. You can find some of the things that I mentioned written then there. Also, the article includes our materials, but these are actually available also through the link, the bit.ly link at the bottom. It's the 2019 version. So you can look at them and get inspiration for your own training. The materials include videos which manifest best practices in user research, design, and usability testing, and highlights from relevant books and publications. I also included materials of activities that were carried out for the UX design of open targets. This is the most recent peer-reviewed case, and it was included to demonstrate in the training materials how UX design can be applied to an end-to-end bioinformatics project. So you can read a bit more about this project and use it as an example in this paper. And finally, I made use of the UXLS toolkit. UXLS, which stands for the User Experience for Life Scientists, is the wider community of practice for UX in the life sciences. So we put together this toolkit for people who are new to this field. It includes materials, descriptions of methods and case studies. And since many of these things were also covered in my training workshop, I included links to that in my own training materials. And this is a toolkit that you can actually use yourself as well to get started with UX in the life sciences. To conclude, I'd like to thank our participants for their involvement and constructive feedback, my co-authors, Joseph Rosetto, Revti Nathaniel, and Sarah Morgan, our colleagues in the web development and training teams at EBI, and also in other teams that were involved in the UX training, and finally our leadership at MBI who have been very supporting of our efforts. Finally, I'd like to thank you for your attention. I hope that you found this useful, and I look forward to your questions. Bye-bye.